Thoughts on that?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I want to get into that a little bit here. I know what you're talking about,
Okay.
that you don't want to live post-traumatic stress over and over and over. That's pretty
Sure.
much what you're saying. It didn't happen, but it's like the Vietnam vet that comes home and I hear something in the bushes and all of a sudden he's back on the battlefield and it's not real.
Sure.
That kind of stuff is different from what I want to address. It's like, you know, I want to be like the tiger or the cat. They just relax so totally, and then if the predator's there, in 2 seconds, they're ready. You know? That's the way I want to live my life. I want to live my life that I'm just totally relaxed, and if I hit a predator, I know it and I'm on the beat. You know? That's the way I want to live. And I think to do what the cat does, or the tiger, as a human being, is an enormous amount of wisdom to do that.
Sure.
And one of the things, it came to my situation. I was so looking forward to going back to an old Al-Anon group because I was having trouble with my sister drinking. I hadn't been there for 5 years because I lived in Washington, D.C. for 5 years. Hadn't seen any of these people for 5 years and couldn't remember most of their names. But I came looking, thinking, oh, it's going to be such a nice experience. And I got there first, and I should have been like the cat, jumped, and I know what to do, because it was the oddest thing. 5 years later, this woman came up and attacked me for doing something 5 years ago. And she just went ballistic, just shaking her fist, and it was like I was going to fill out a threat report at the police. She said, I heard you said this to this about outside of the group about me. That was her complaint. But there was no able to work it out or talk. She just screaming at me. And
Sure, if that's been festering for 5 years, she's not in a place where she probably wants to talk, yeah.
And I said, but this isn't rational. I don't remember your name, and it's been 5 years. This is not rational thinking.
Sure.
And this can't be a rational, you might have some validity here, but it's not in any rational context because it's been 5 years and I don't even remember your name. So.
She made a decision about that very
Okay.
early on after it happened,
Yeah.
and let herself get locking that decision in here, letting everything that came in with regard to you go through that filter,
Okay.
which anytime she would think about it would put her into that kind of rage state.
Okay.
Rage physiology and state.
Okay.
And she's had 5 years to perfect that pattern of reaction. Now this is, I mentioned this in the last couple of lectures too, but all these patterns are patterns of excellence. And by that I mean, once you do something a few times, you really got it down. Whether the behavior is something you like or not is inconsequential. The pattern is a solid pattern.
So
You learn things. She
solid
solidified that pattern. What she also did was she sidetracked herself. She took all that energy that she'd been building for those 5 years that could have been used for something growth-oriented, something, who knows, spiritual work, whatever it might be, and she allowed that energy to just sit and burn over that one decision that she made about what you said. And as a result, when it came time, when you actually saw her and she saw you, that was the release. That was something that she had very little control over. There was no rational thinking for her at that point because she needed to outlet. She needed a vent of some
It
kind.
was a total
to let that go.
meltdown, a violent, unsafe situation.
Sure.
But I should have been like the cat and grabbed my cell phone and called 911 because there was no sanity or rationality, and she needed an authoritative figure or else to walk out.
What was the ultimate result of that confrontation?
Okay, another member from Al-Anon came in and said, this isn't safe, Dana, stop doing this. Let Mary go. This isn't safe. And she kept on, she kept on. And I said, one of us have to leave here. I don't know that and I said, one of us has to leave. This isn't working. And I said, I'm not the perpetrator. I just said that. I'm not starting this. And then Bonnie said, do you want to try to sit down and make sense out of this? At one point, she just kept boiling and boiling and boiling, and then she walked out. And then the other group kind of supported her because they were in a group with her, and I was a newcomer, so they said, well, Mary, it sounds like you've done something. And I said, I've tried and cursed here, you know, I tried and condemned and went in, put in jail without a trial, and I don't feel this is right. It's upsetting the group. We have to say something about it. And then they said, you better call her up and try to make amends and talk this out. And I said, if you were a tiger in a cage, would you go in there and preach nonviolence to the tiger? And I said, that's stupid to go on her turf. I'm not going to do that. All I'm going to say is, I'm going to be here next week. And then I left. Because I felt that I need to honor my honor. You know what I mean? I need to stand up for, gee, I might have done something, but I would never have blabbed some personal stuff out of the group, and if it hurt her that much, I would like a chance to defend myself, say what happened.
Yeah, and what you did was an excellent job of holding your boundaries. Now the big difference between you and the cat is the cat would have been out of there in a heartbeat. But what does that limit the cat to, though? That limits the cat to, I can go here or I can't go here. One or the other, there's no in between. And that's the beauty of all of what this represents, is our ability to use not just our brain, but our entire mind to eliminate patterns or create patterns if there are things that we desire in order to get the behaviors that we want. So the one thing that you did very well was you held your boundaries, and that's something that's very important. One thing that she did very well for 5 years was brew that pattern and keep that pattern just absolutely crystallized and solidified. There was excellence in that pattern.
Yeah.
The result was very distasteful, probably as much so for her as it was for you, and I don't take that the wrong way, but for her to express herself that way is probably counter to what she really feels she is as a person.
Yeah.
So she might have been very hard on herself about coming at you like that after she simmered down. We don't know. Maybe you do. I don't know if you ever spoke with her.
No,
But that's the difference between you and the cat, is you have a choice. You can go somewhere between, I'm out of here or I'm staying here and I'm fighting. You can make a decision where you want those boundaries to be, and you made another decision, which was, I'm coming, and I'm also not going to go and approach her.
Right.
That was another boundary that you set and you were very clear about for yourself. Also, patterns of excellence, that's one that you're exhibiting, which is you know where your boundaries are and you know how to hold them. So there's all kinds of good stuff in that scenario, even though it was an uncomfortable place.
I feel if I just don't show up Tuesday, and she does, she's got the floor, and all that rage and all that craziness gets validity because I'm out of there not defending myself. And other people are saying, see, Mary can't come because she was a blabber. And she did blab stuff. And you know what I'm saying? I
So
think
the question I would ask
for
you
my
then,
self-respect.
is that the kind of group that you want to be in the first place?
That's another decision I made. I decided that I do not want to be in that group any longer or never go again because it supports and facilitates crazy people.
Well, maybe that might be putting a little more judgment on it than you need, but the part that you're not getting is if it's a support group, it would be nice if it was an objective support group and could support anybody that might show up.
Yeah.
So you might decide you want to find a whole different group, and then the other question after, if that is your decision, is how important is it what they feel about you?
Okay.